Xerneas cores that I've been missing so much over at the other stream, alongside the Smeargle, Kangaskhan, Talonflame, and then the Togekiss filling in what you might be the Bronzong or the Cresselia slot on this team.
Yeah, or the Salamence slot. So the Togekiss choice is certainly interesting because it gives more protection for your Xerneas or for your Groudon, thanks to Follow Me, and it's a very bulky choice. But we'll see how it compares to the likes of Salamence, because there's no Intimidate here, so physical attackers could be more threatening, such as maybe Mega Rayquaza, other Groudons, other Kangaskhan's. So it'll be very interesting to see how Togekiss does if it's brought. But I got to cast Barry earlier. He had a Volcarona. We didn't get to see it, but I hope we see it here.
All right, well, we'll see if Volcarona is out on the field for Barry this time. It looks like we are just going to see Kangaskhan and Xerneas on the field for Melvin, and Smeargle Xerneas on the field for Barry. So both Xerneas on the field alongside Fake Out Pressure, plus the support Pokemon in Kangaskhan and Smeargle. Smeargle, of course, the more annoying, the more obnoxious of the support Pokemon, while Kangaskhan, of course, has more offensive pressure.
Wow, they made their moves really fast. Didn't want any time to think about that at all. It'll be interesting to see because both Xerneas match up against each other. Whichever one's faster to get the G-Mancy off first will be interesting. Here we see Smeargle actually moves first with the Fake Out. Did Kangaskhan go for that as well?
Yeah, it did.
Wow.
Wow, Kangaskhan does go for the Fake Out onto Smeargle. So Barry, of course, will be able to use that Geomancy, while Melvin will be flinched from Fake Out. So Barry showing a surprise fast Smeargle there, faster than that Kangaskhan.
That means it's got to be a Choice Scarf. If that Kangaskhan was trained to be fast, there's no other way Smeargle can become faster. So the plus side here is it gives Barry the initial edge. He gets the Geomancy up on turn 1, while Melvin gets absolutely nothing done. However, now on turn 2, if Smeargle's locked into that Fake Out, it's completely useless.
It has to switch out.
Exactly, it has to switch out unless it just wants to just do nothing. So Barry trades kind of his turn 2 initiative to get a big advantage on turn 1. We'll see if that's a worthwhile trade for him as we progress in this match.
Well, they are moving very quickly. Barry will switch out Smeargle for the Scrafty, so we'll be able to get the Intimidate off onto Kangaskhan. Very bold switching in a Scrafty who's facing down a Xerneas, but with that Geomancy boosted Xerneas on his own side, Barry's probably feeling pretty comfortable. Talonflame will switch in on Melvin's side, so trying to use that priority Gale Wings, possibly Brave Bird, to deal a lot of damage back to Barry's boosted Xerneas, but you know, got the Scrafty and now has Fake Out Pressure again. Yeah,
the Fake Out Pressure is really good here, but boy, those were 2 really risky turns from Barry. Going for a Choice Scarf Fake Out. Oh, and a Quick Guard.
Yeah, not even time to react to the old one. Quick Guard. Scrafty will be blocked by that. Moonblast coming out on Barry's side. Will connect with Melvin. Xerneas deals so much damage, and not quite enough. Not quite enough to pick up the KO there. So Xerneas will be able to get its Geomancy boost off this time.
So this is interesting for Melvin. He better be, you know, fully confident that his Xerneas is faster than Barry's. Otherwise, it's just gonna get knocked out here. So I guess that this shows that Melvin is confident that his Xerneas must be trained to be extremely fast. But we'll see. As I was saying before, very risky first 2 turns from Barry, going for a Choice Scarf Fake Out against a Kangaskhan. If that Kangaskhan faked out Barry's Xerneas, that would have been really bad for Barry. And then switching in Scrafty against Xerneas, very risky, but this paid off for him so far extremely well.
Yeah, that's definitely a turn that Barry will not be able to replicate ever again. Talonflame going for the Tailwind this time. That was what Melvin was looking for. Getting that Tailwind up, making sure that his Xerneas will be the fastest, and of course, the Dazzling Gleam coming out from Barry. Xerneas deals about 50% to Talonflame. Will be enough to activate its red card. Red card, Talonflame. That's a tech we see pretty regularly on anti-Xerneas Pokemon. The knockoff coming out from Scrafty onto Talonflame. Would have liked to get that first so that it would knock off the red card and also get the KO.
Yeah, now Tailwind's up, so that kind of makes the Choice Scarf on Smeargle a lot less effective. However, we saw Fake Out.
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe is enough to pick up a knockout here?
It would be close.
It is.
From Smeargle?
From a Smeargle,
we do also know that Talonflame has Quick Guard too.
That's true. So certainly an option there because you know, you don't want to let Smeargle potentially pick up a KO with Fake Out. But at the same time, then well, it doesn't matter because Tailwind's up, so Xerneas will be faster than Smeargle thanks to both the Tailwind and the Geomancy. So I think it's completely safe to go for the Quick Guard there. So maybe switch Smeargle out and save it for later is an option for Barry.
Well, it looks like it will be the Quick Guard from Melvin. Xerneas does get the Dazzling Gleam off. Of course, moving before both Pokemon, Smeargle did not even go for it in a double KO with that Geomancy boost. Melvin Xerneas is easily able to pick up the KO onto Scrafty and Smeargle there, thanks to that Quick Guard, making sure there was no way that Barry could react.
This red card totally changed the outcome of this game. It was just so effective getting that Xerneas out off the field after it already got a Geomancy boost up. We saw earlier today that red card is it's so inconsistent. It actually helped the opponent last time we saw it, and then
this
the other time.
This is the first time I've seen it work.
Yes, same for me. But look, when it does work, look how effective it is. It totally changed the outcome of this game for Melvin and put him in a great spot and in control. But he is still staring down 2 restricted Pokemon, and his Pokemon are very low on HP, so he does have to watch out. Rayquaza, of course, does have extreme speed, and that will move before Talonflame can even attack.
Yeah. Do you think Xerneas can get off a non-power boosted Geomancy here? I mean, there are a couple of Pokemon that are weak here that Rayquaza may be able to deal with for it.
It'll be risky. It's an option, but it's very risky. The good thing here is you don't have to worry about attacking Talonflame because if it attacks, it'll just knock itself out.
Yeah.
So don't even bother attacking it. Just extreme speed to Xerneas. Let Talonflame knock itself out and get an attack off. I think the Geomancy might be too greedy, but that could certainly win Barry the game if he's able to pull it off.
Yeah, well, Barry is going to go ahead and Mega Evolve his Rayquaza. Quick Guard coming out again from the Talonflame. Xerneas using that Dazzling Gleam will connect with both the Xerneas and the Rayquaza. 1 hit point, Rayquaza holding on thanks to that Focus Sash, and Dazzling Gleam coming out again from Barry's Xerneas will pick up the double KO of its own on Talonflame and the Geomancy boosted Xerneas because it took so much damage earlier. Now, Rayquaza has not moved yet. Swords Dance Rayquaza for Barry. We're going to be hoping to deal a lot of damage with an extreme speed because I'm not sure it's going to get many opportunities to do anything else.
No, with 1 HP left, it's probably only going to get 1 more attack off Groudon.
Groudon, though.
Groudon's very bulky.
It's also slow.
That's true, but we do see the Kangaskhan
with
as well.
That Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. It's got Fake Out too. So Melvin still in a good spot here, I think.
Yeah, having Groudon and Xerneas up against a 1 hit point Rayquaza and Xerneas is a pretty good position. That Groudon, Kangaskhan love to eat through Xerneas that haven't been trained very bulkily in their physical defense.
Yeah. I think that Talonflame having Quick Guard and the red card. The red card especially, but then the Quick Guard to follow it up, preventing any kind of extreme speed from knocking out Melvin Xerneas. So it was able to get a Dazzling Gleam off.
Yep, Barry does go for the double protect here, trying to make sure that there can be no fake outs or sucker punches coming out from that Kangaskhan. Melvin just going for the fake out and the fire punch. Tailwind, though, does peter out this time, so Kangaskhan will need to use its priority move to get ahead of that Rayquaza.
Yep, however, extreme speed does move before sucker punch, so Melvin does have to watch out for that.
All right, well, here comes the extreme speed. Is going to connect with the Groudon, actually, hoping that Melvin went for the Sucker Punch. Did go for the Sucker Punch, and it does fail. Xerneas will get the Moonblast off if it targets down that Groudon. If it gets a critical hit, this could be huge. Not going to be enough. Groudon hangs on. Rock Slide from Groudon. Whoa. Is it going to connect? Whoa. So risky. Will connect with the Rayquaza and the Xerneas. Pick up the KO onto Rayquaza. Oh man, I have seen so many tournaments ended on a Rock Slide miss that I almost just got PTSD from watching that.
There's so many different ways Rock Slide can give you PTSD, whether it's misses or flinches. But here it connects with both, puts Xerneas in KO range.
And here comes Kangaskhan to clean it up.
Yeah, very well played match by Melvin. That Talonflame, that was the MVP by far. Red card and then Quick Guard.
Yeah.
Very, very well played. But that's the kind of trick that might only work once. Red card. Yeah. Now that Barry knows it has red card, he's not going to let his boosted Xerneas get switched out so easily.
And that's the problem with red card that we've seen.
Right.
As soon as someone knows that it's there, it's very difficult to have it actually boot out the Xerneas like we saw that game.
Right, so since this is a best 2 out of 3, having tricks that'll work only once are just, they're not that effective. But Melvin certainly didn't get this far without having other things that he can pull off with his team, whether they're unpredictable things or whether they're things that are just standard and consistent, and maybe he only needs red card to pull off one game out of the 3 for him, and then you know, the rest of his team can kind of handle the rest.
And you have to wonder about the other Pokemon that Barry brought. You know, the Scarf Smeargle. Scarf Smeargle is a Pokemon that really is good in best of 1.
Exactly.
Best of 3 is very weak.
Yes, Scarf Smeargle, very similar to the idea of red card, because once you find out his Choice Scarf, I mean, if Melvin game 1 simply faked out the Xerneas on turn 1, that Smeargle would have accomplished absolutely nothing. No Geomancy would have gotten up. But now Smeargle has to switch out. When you're doing that against the likes of a Kangaskhan and a Xerneas, that is so risky.
Well, we'll have to see if either of these players change up their strategies. Barry, of course, is down one game in this best of 3 set. He needs to win this next game in order to keep his tournament hopes alive. Game 2, Melvin up 1-0, beating the Togekiss and the Kangaskhan up against the Smeargle and Xerneas. So Barry has opted to continue with that Scarf Smeargle lead, while Melvin has decided to go for Kangaskhan Togekiss.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what Melvin does here, because Smeargle certainly threatens a faster Dark Void thanks to the Choice Scarf. Or does Barry simply go for a fake out and then switch out? Of course, that's always risky because your opponent can take advantage of that. It'll be interesting to see what Togekiss does. Tailwind is certainly a common move on Togekiss to let...
Or even something like Thunder Wave.
Even Thunder Wave. That would probably actually be better in this situation because if Xerneas goes for a Geomancy, you know, that'll double its speed. And then Tailwind will put you guys at pretty much even, whereas Thunder Wave, it reduces its speed so much that even after the Geomancy, it'll be slower than practically everything. And then, of course, Togekiss with Air Slash and Serene Grace, you're never going to be moving.
All right, well, Togekiss uses Magic Coat. It's the anti-Smeargle tech. Fake out from Melvin onto the...
Whoa!
Sorry, can't even get it out because Smeargle is switcherooing. Togekiss gets that Choice Scarf while Smeargle picks up a Citrus Berry for itself.
Yeah, really, really interesting. I like that because imagine what you can do with that. If you're against a Xerneas, you can switcheroo the Choice Scarf onto a Xerneas before it Geomancies. I mean, that could be devastating. But here, Togekiss gets to get the Magic Code off first, so I believe it won't be locked into that. It'll be locked into whatever move it chooses this turn.
Air Slash?
Yeah, so now you got a Choice Scarf Air Slash. That could actually be kind of bad for Barry, depending on how those rolls end up happening, because if you're getting flinched every turn by something as fast as a Choice Scarf Togekiss.
Yeah, it's like we're back in 2015. Everyone's getting flinched every turn.
Oh, boy.
Melvin chooses to retreat his Kangaskhan, wants to be able to reset the fake out, switches in Xerneas for some more offensive pressure here. Obviously, both Xerneas now staring each other down. Barry will be able to get his Geomancy off here, so Geomancy on Barry's Xerneas. So we'll have to see if Melvin's Togekiss, now with its free Choice Scarf, will be able to do anything to check that, to check Barry's Xerneas, or if it will just be, Melvin will just be hoping on another red card to get himself out of this sticky situation. Smeargle, though, does go for the transform as well.
Boy.
Okay. Barry says, all right, you figured out how to deal with one of my Xerneas. Now I have 2 Xerneas.
Yeah, well, the Tailwind...
Choice Scarf Tailwind.
It's nice, but now you're locked into Tailwind, and you're staring down two
Xerneas.
Do I have to repeat 2 Xerneas with the Geomancy boost? It is not looking good for Melvin.
Yeah, I mean, red card is a great item that works once in one game. Maybe it would work in this as well, but unfortunately, it should only work on one of them.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think of ways Melvin can pull himself out of this. I don't know if I can come up with anything.
I'm more impressed that Barry made Choice Smeargle work. Melvin does have to retreat his Togekiss now. Kangaskhan's back out on the field. Needs to use, if anything is going to get him back in the game, it's going to be abusing that fake out pressure. But now Xerneas will protect itself from the incoming Dazzling Gleam barrage from both of these Xerneas. Dazzling Gleam #1 from the Smeargle Xerneas onto Kangaskhan. Not quite a one-hit KO, but fortunately Barry has a second Xerneas to back it up. Another Dazzling Gleam.
All Barry's got to do is just double Dazzling Gleam, unless Melvin sends in something that threatens Wide Guard. All he's got to do is just double Dazzling Gleam each turn. Although, well, double Dazzling Gleam might not knock out Groudon. However, Groudon can't knock out both of these Pokemon.
Dazzling Gleam and a Moonblast, maybe?
Yeah, but then you don't knock out the Xerneas.
Xerneas, yeah.
So at least one of these Pokemon on Melvin's side should be able to last through this turn, but I don't know if that is enough to take down 2 boosted Xerneas.
Yeah, maybe
and
able
look
to
at
get
their
one.
HP. They,
I mean, you know, the Berries is only at 162. That's a little weak for a Xerneas.
right, but it's going to be so tough to take down.
All right, here comes Dazzling Gleam #1 from Barry. Connects to Groudon and Xerneas. Will not be able to pick up the KO onto Groudon as you predicted. Will be able to pick up the KO onto the other Xerneas, of course, with that double Dazzling Gleam barrage. Groudon hanging on by just a thread. A big Precipice Blades here could be crucial. Will connect with both of the Pokemon. Will deal a lot of damage back, but no critical hits. Smeargle actually got that Citrus Berry earlier, so now not only does it have Xerneas Geomancy boost, but also it gets that extra 25% effective hit points.
I was about to say before that turn happened, like even though it's got Smeargle's lower HP, so the Xerneas has, you know, it doesn't seem as bulky, but it got that Citrus Berry, so that effectively makes it even bulkier than it is.
Yeah, that makes the Smeargle effectively a better Xerneas than Xerneas.
Yeah.
Well, Barry is going to protect the real Xerneas here, as well as protecting the Smeargle Xerneas, just trying to figure out what that Togekiss will lock itself into. Groudon goes for the Fire Punch. Togekiss is going to lock itself into Air Slash, so Melvin may be able to pick off one of these.
Yeah, but now Tailwind's over, so now I don't think Togekiss can outspeed either of these Xerneas, unfortunately.
So I was lamenting earlier that I had not seen that many Xerneas on stream, and you know, I'm glad that Barry took care of me with the double Xerneas on his team. I'm glad we got that shot of all 3 Xerneas on the field at the same time.
Yeah, Evan, the VGC stream is home to Transform.
Yeah.
And Ditto with Imposter. We've seen all kinds of transformations here. We've seen matches with multiple Groudons, multiple Xerneas. We saw Smeargle choose to transform into a Jump Buff when there were 2 Groudons on the field.
That. Because Jump Bluff was clearly the superior choice.
Right. We've seen all kinds of transformations here on this stream.
All right, well, we'll have to see which of these Day 1 players can transform into a Day 2 as we go into Game 3. Barry Anderson versus Melvin K. Whoever wins this match will advance to Day 2.
And whoever loses will not advance to Day 2. So the nerves have to be incredible in this match. These players are fighting for their lives to advance to Day 2.
And both of these games have been so swingy.
Oh, I know.
This third game could go either way.
It really can. There were so many intense plays on either side that just, you didn't know what the outcome would be. They were, you know, I don't want to say risky, but some of them were definitely pretty risky. They could have backfired very easily.
Yeah, a little optimistic, some of them.
Right, but they worked. They paid off, and that's what makes watching these matches so exciting. When you see these risky plays actually pay off, the reward just looks, you know, so enticing.
Yeah, and you can just see the concentration on both of these players' faces right now. Both of these players have shown all of their tricks. You know, we thought Barry only had that Choice Scarf Smeargle. He showed the switcheroo, the transform.
Hey, he's still got a Volcarona.
We have not seen Volcarona yet. I mean, Volcarona is a really good Pokemon. I mean, it's really, the biggest problem is that it only gets 4 moves.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier, that Volcarona's got so many good moves that it learns. It really wishes it could have 5, maybe even 6 moves, but it's only stuck with 4, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we'll have to see if Barry decides to bring in that Volcarona, or if Melvin will be able to take it back like he did in Game 1, win this one. Game 3, winner advances, loser goes home. So Melvin will lead the Kangaskhan Smeargle lead, while Barry will go ahead and use his Smeargle and Xerneas. The same leads he's used every time, but he's played it very differently every time. Right. I believe this is the first time we've seen Melvin Smeargle.
Yeah, this will be a great way to decide Game 3. Double Smeargle. Let's see which one's got the craziest tricks up its sleeve.
Yeah, we had triple Xerneas. Now let's do double Smeargle.
Yeah, I'd love to see Melvin Smeargle have something crazy.
All right, well, the Smeargle Kangaskhan lead is something that we see pretty regularly. It's a very disruptive lead here.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what Barry decides here, because his Smeargle is Choice Scarf, so it's going to be locked into whatever it decides to whatever it decides to use this turn. Melvin, on the other hand, I don't know if he's using Choice Scarf, maybe a Focus Sash, maybe a Mental Herb. So there's a lot of things he can do. Depending on what that item is. So he might have more flexibility in this match than Barry has.
All right, well, Melvin does go for the fake out again onto Xerneas. Barry showing the Dark Void. Barry just going straight for Dark Void with that Choice Scarf. Does connect onto Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is asleep. Will connect onto Smeargle. Smeargle is asleep. So Barry showed his tricks in Game 1 and Game 2, and in Game 3, he's like, you know what? It's still Smeargle. I can still do this.
Yeah, no Lumberry from the Smeargle, no Crafty Shield, no Fake Out onto the Smeargle. Barry, with this really risky Choice Scarf Smeargle, has managed to get the right prediction with its move every single game in this match. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Choice Scarf Smeargle has a fairly low success rate, but when you have a Choice Scarf Smeargle that can do at least 3 different things, Barry's making it work.
Yeah, but this is Barry. He's known for being able to utilize Sleep to its fullest potential. He's known for things like Breloom and now Smeargle, so, you know, he's kind of used to making these predictions. He's become a veteran at being able to read people and know how to play these kind of sleep-inducing Pokemon.
Well, here comes the Xerneas for Melvin. Kangaskhan switched out. Of course, Barry now will be able to get his own Geomancy off here. Smeargle, of course, does go before the Xerneas, which could be interesting information if they were going to a Game 4. Rayquaza now out on the field for Barry as well.
Yeah, it's always best to be the first one to get your Geomancy up. One thing Barry still has to watch out for, he doesn't want a Dazzling Gleam here onto a Talonflame switch in, so he does have to watch out for that. Of course, if he is scared of that and manages to predict which slot Talonflame comes in, if he attacks with the Rayquaza with an extreme speed to move before Xerneas, he can get Rayquaza switched out instead of the Xerneas.
And then get a free switch into something like, you know, maybe the Choice Scarf Smeargle again.
Oh boy, that would be really good for Barry if he could pull something like that off. That requires Melvin to make that switch and then Barry to call which Pokemon is going to switch out for Talonflame.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these players have made some of those aggressive predictions before.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the Smeargle's item is on Melvin's side, whether it's a Focus Sash, whether it's maybe not a Focus Sash, in which case it would go down from one Xerneas attack, because Barry does want to attack with his Rayquaza onto that Xerneas slot, or even maybe set up a Swords Dance if he's feeling maybe a little bit greedy, or wants that late game power. So it'll be interesting to see what he goes for. And he does go for that extreme speed.
Yeah, trying to protect himself from a red card switch in onto the Smeargle, just making sure that Smeargle, if it is Focus Sash, you won't be stymied by that. Will deal a lot of damage to Melvin Xerneas as well, and pick up the KO onto the enemy Smeargle. Dazzling Gleam coming out on Melvin's side deals a lot of damage, but not enough to Rayquaza, and just a little bit to that.
Yeah, look at that damage on that Xerneas, just not enough.
Yeah, it needs way more damage for Groudon to be able to compete here.
Yeah, and Rayquaza's still hanging in. There's no priority moves on Melvin's side. Neither Pokemon is faster than Rayquaza, so Rayquaza's gonna get off an attack. It's not looking good for Melvin because a Dazzling Gleam plus whatever Rayquaza goes for, targeting that Groudon, that's Barry's best bet, and you know, that should be enough to really put him in complete control.
Yeah, Xerneas, of course, is in another Dazzling Gleam range as well, so very safe position for Barry to be in. Melvin really needs to do something to shake this up and get the momentum back.
Yeah, and Melvin's last Pokemon is that Kangaskhan, which is it's asleep and has yet to even use a single turn of sleep. So it's guaranteed at least one sleeping turn. So Melvin, he's pretty much down to these last 2 Pokemon.
Yeah, and unfortunately it looks like he's down to 1 now. That Dazzling Gleam will knock out the Xerneas. A critical hit on the Groudon as well. Barry will be able to use his Dragon Ascent from Rayquaza, probably making that critical hit unnecessary, but...
Yeah, but Barry does have the Focus Sash, so he doesn't have something like Life Orb boosting the power. It could have mattered. Groudon is a very physically bulky Pokemon, but we'll never know. And regardless, I think Barry was still in such a commanding spot right there. Even if Groudon did manage to hang on, I think Barry still could have pulled that off, because there's no way Groudon would have KO'd both Rayquaza and the Xerneas.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Kangaskhan got a head start on Sleep for day 2. Not going to be able to make it. Unfortunately, this will be Melvin's last stand, and Barry, what an amazing turnaround from that first game to take both games 2 and game 3 in very commanding fashion.
And remember, this was an elimination match, so to go down after losing game 1, that's, you know, it takes a special...
I love it, the Sleep Mega Evolution.
It takes a certain kind of somebody with, you know, the kind of mental fortitude that Barry has, somebody who's been there before, to really come back from a Game 1 loss in an elimination match such as this.
Yep, and that is it. Barry Anderson will be advancing. Yeah, that's the face of someone who knows that he is going to be able to keep